Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
The worst of modern Formula One is a statement that needs summing up, and the Mexico Grand Prix does that job nicely. As every little symptom of the bigger illness was displayed in the boring and disappointing race, we just had the misfortune to suffer through. Another win handed to Mercedes to continue drumming up excitement that is actually non-existent by commentators who seem as interested as I am. The utter non-event a lot of these races turn into. All problems that need to be addressed for the 2021 regulations, and let's be honest, many of them won't be. Firstly, the fact cars can't follow each other. This is brought up every week as the quick fix, and yes, it is a problem. Displayed here with the last 50 laps, being as boring as watching a train spotter play with his train set. As cars fail to get close to each other and we just watch the same procession lap after lap, anything the FIA can do to liven up these races is a plus. And changing the way the aerodynamics work is a start. I personally would like to see front wings that are just a single piece, and not like a plank of wood with a 5-year-old school project glued all over it. But I think the biggest problem is the circuits F1 races at. The Mexican track is a symbol of all modern tracks. Dull as frick, where half the lap you have no chance of overtaking and the rest being a straight line in a corner. So many tracks on the F1 calendar look dull and are usually dull as well because of it. Mexico, Russia, Bahrain, Paul Ricard, the modern Silverstone, and there's probably loads more, but I have forgotten them because they're dull. I honestly think we need to look at circuits like Spa and Suzuka and ask, why do these tracks work, and then stop going to Bahrain. So let's talk about the race, what little there is to talk about. It started off pretty exciting. Vettel blocked off Hamilton, who then got into contact and ran off the track with Verstappen. I'm glad Vettel didn't get a penalty, he had track position, but the stewards liked to interfere, but maybe they were watching something better. Verstappen would pull off a good move on Bottas and get a puncture in the process, ending that piece of intrigue. The pit stops were interesting, both Norris and Giovinazzi managed to leave the pit box with 3 wheels. I think a lot of engineers will be looking for new jobs this week. Verstappen would hit Magnussen, but both continued, and Leclerc would have an issue in the pits as well, causing him to drop slightly further back and not affecting the race in any way. I don't like the fact that commentators keep saying that Ferrari can challenge Mercedes. They just can't. They're not even close. Yes, they can turn their engines up in qualifying and nail it on one lap, but what they have sacrificed to achieve that slight speed advantage means that over a race distance they are playing catch-up, and both Ferrari drivers are doing well to keep up. Mercedes are just 3 steps ahead in every other way. And no one is challenging them as far as a title race goes. Here is a sad fact for you. Bottas is, and always has been, incredibly average. He has never been a great driver. He peaked about 4 years ago and has always been second fiddle to Hamilton. Rosberg had faults and probably wasn't quite on terms with Hamilton, but he at least put up a fight. Bottas makes far too many mistakes and very rarely shows that outright pace that makes a good driver great. Albon had a good race. I think Red Bull have been justified in their choice now. He hasn't bettered 5th, but he proved in this race he can keep pace with the frontrunners, and he has outscored Verstappen in the races since joining Red Bull. That might be because Verstappen keeps getting involved in incidents, but that is what makes him an exciting driver, and I look forward to watching his career. McLaren had a disastrous race, not only the Norris pit stop, but Sainz went from the front to the back as soon as he went onto hard tyres. The McLaren just couldn't make it work, and they leave Mexico disappointed. Alfa Romeo, Haas and Williams struggled as much as you thought they would. Grosjean looked terrible all weekend, spinning a couple of times and nearly finishing behind Robert Kubica, who has been last nearly all year. Kvyat kept up his reputation and torpedoed Hulkenberg towards the end. He'd be penalised, dropping him out the points. Renault have had a bad week, but Ricciardo worked his way to a good 8th. But the story of the race was Perez getting 7th at his home race. Best of the rest, as it's known. It's as good as it's going to get for the likes of Perez. A sad testament to his career that this is all he can really hope for moving forward. Although I do regret saying he was at the end of his career just before he signs a multi-year contract. That's it, I've rambled for long enough. It's kind of all over the place, to be honest. This race annoyed me more than most. Hopefully America will be more exciting, but I'm not holding much hope. And I will do a roundup this week, but there's a lot to watch and I haven't really even started yet. With that said, watch something more interesting and have a good week.